As a community development worker for the Extension Service of Memorial University, each year I visit many of the rural communities along the northeast coast of Newfoundland. One day last summer I once again bumped down the rough, steep road cut through rocks leading into Round Harbour on the Green Bay side of the Bayward Peninsula. Whenever I have entered this community, I have always marveled at the natural beauty of the round, protecting harbour that must have given it its name. The blue of the sea reflected the early morning sun. At the harbour entrance, a great iceberg loomed. In the stillness, the mewing of a cat across the harbour cut through clear air. The odour of smoking salmon wafted from tiny smokehouses. As I walked around the community, the first person I met was Aubrey Fudge, an old friend I had not seen for many years.
No, good to see you again.
Yes, the same with you, sir. Same with you.
Just going to dodge over to have a little chat with you.
Oh, I tell you, I didn't know that. Oh, come on then.
Coming back?
Yes, sure.
I know you keep them all the time.
Very good. Try to put on till then, coming. You know, pick a net. And out the way. I have to ask you about her, you know.
There as well, yes.
Yeah. And I haven't bothered. I'm what they call a showman now.
You're a shoreman, eh?
Showman, yes.
Gentleman of leisure.
Yes.
Well, there's still a bit of life in Round Harbour, though.
Well, now, you can say there's someone, so I say. Yeah. Not much on this side.
We're getting a bit slow, eh?
Oh, mine now. Careful. We got nobody looking after nothing now.
You got no road?
No, sir, no road board, no nothing now. He's gone right out.
Yeah.
And he don't seem to be interested, you know. Nobody. One time we were interested.
There were a lot of people here in the Round Harbour.
Yes, sir. Yes,
a lot
there
of
was
fish
a lot of
here.
people. A lot of people. About, what would I say, about 23 or 24 years ago, there was around about 55 people drinking from the well up here, what we call Tilly's Well.
Yes.
And the winter before last there were two. A couple of winters before there was two. But now last winter there was 7 of us. 7.
As I talked with Aubrey and others in the community, and as I looked around at the decay that even now has begun to set in, I could not help but be saddened to realize that the present generation trying to make a living in Round Harbour might be the last to do so. For deep roots into a colourful and vital past in Newfoundland does not secure a rule in the future.
The first settlers of Round Harbour were Irish people. Now that's the first that we know anything about, you know, the first old people of Round Harbour was that. That's what my mother and grandmother and all we used to tell us. And then she changed over then. She changed right over, you know, all these people died out and went out. The other people come in, they'll say, my grandfathers, and like that. Everything come by water. You know, schooners was trading from St. John, like the old Mermaid and the Rose May and the Hilton and all them old bankers. I thought this was a busy place one time. Yes, sir.
All through your life, there were years fished for millions, and yet in them times, there were years there was very little fish.
Well, now, yes, sir. From 1907 to 1912, my dear man, the cod traps was there and Round Harbour was like that. Look, they were in the stores, hardly worth bothering with. And a lot of the people were working in Snook Farm on the wheel factory. for 90 cents and $1 a day. Yes, my father and Uncle William all worked there. Even after the well factory started. In 1912, you know, she come right up sudden. And then there was 13 and 14. Well, not too bad, right up to, well, I went away in 18, spring of 18. And there wasn't too much fish that summer. And there wasn't much fish in 1919. But 1917 was a Klondike. Klondike there, you know. But, and people now, you know, they don't realize that, eh? In 1920 and 1923. But the fish come. And why not come again?
The question is, even if the fish do come back in great quantities once again, will there be anyone left in Round Harbour to catch them?
Well, only 7 people there, what do you call it? Fishing 7 John birthdays, and some of them is that catfish, or just at the salmon.
Eric Fudge fishes with 2 teenage sons. In the winter, the boys go to school in the sea.
Usually start around the end of May, eh? Gill hits in deep water. That's salmon, eh? And then after August month, we usually get 2 turbot in deep water, eh? We just salt them, eh? And then on the end of September, 1st of October, we come in under the shore, under the land, you know. And try a bit of fishing under the land. Some years, more years not getting on. Till herring and all that. Usually ends up around last November, you know. But the last 2 years, you know, I only got a short time out on the ice, eh? Black with ice all summer, as well say.
Now it's the whales.
That was the whales.
Still a lot of whales out there now, you know. They don't seem to be getting any scarcer. They're not feeding the bay. There's so much bait in the bay, see? The bait is up around the water. Whale bait is up around the water, all, you know, fades of it, eh? They're not going to leave all that there.
In addition to Eric, Bryce Fudge owns the only other Round Harbour boat that landed ground fish at the community stage regularly last season. A third boat was from nearby Snook's Arm. Bryce's wife often helps him with the fish. As well, they operate the community's post office. Like everyone selling to the Lassie plant in 1975, Bryce was upset by the way their fish was being handled.
Come here with one man load that fish truck there today. Fish was brought in here yesterday. That's no way to handle fish. Fish is half spoiled before it gets to the plant. I like living outside the water. I don't suppose I'll be ever doing anything. Go at anything else. I'd sooner live here on one meal a day. Sometimes it makes you wonder, well, probably it is going to go out, but in winter time it's busier than it is here summertime. Sealing.
Sealing ragged. So there's times there when there's anywhere from 15 to 20 boats.
Where do they come from? Operate from
Well, sir, we've had them right from the straits out around, up around Southern, somewhere up around some of them bays up Southern. Come here. Well, this is the only place you can get out of, I suppose, and the freezes off is there.
Do you stay and go sealing, you said?
I wasn't down last year, no.
You don't stay here?
Not wintertime now, not this last 2 years. I stayed in the day. But when I was staying there, sir, I was out there. I wouldn't have sealing. I was out crawling around a paddock at it after a duck. I couldn't get out there. I was in the other way looking for a rabbit or something. I was on to go, but no.
Although Sam Ryan no longer lives year-round in the community, during the summer he comes back home to fish salmon and smoke them.
Well, the salmon is put in salt, and the salt is just right at the tail. There's very little salt go at the tail part, because when it's hanging, whatever tickle is in it drains to the tail, eh? And if you have too much salt down at the tail, what drains down there will turn the tail part white. And again, here in the throat part, that's where it'll turn white up there at that end, right here in the throat, little place there. When we salt them, we stack them, maybe 5 or 6 on top of them. And that's about so large a salmon as we bother to smoke. A bigger salmon, you got all kinds of trouble with it. You got a job to get the salt right. And in lots of cases, they'll drop with a little bit of heat. You'll have them to drop in the smokehouse. So never very often try one bigger than that.
Clarence Foot still lives in Round Harbour through the year. He looks after the community stage and also smokes a bit of salmon on the side.
Well, see, we covered up with this because that's to keep the flame down so it won't be too hot for the salmon. Leave them in salt for about 24 hours. Then wash them out, pull them up, hang them up to dry, different. 5 or 6 hours, and then we put them in the smokers. Sods and blackberry bushes, that's what we use. Tear the sods out of the rock. Tear up some blackberry bushes.
It seemed like they always did it there in this harbour, and on this side of the bay is about the only place that there was any big lad smoking down. Now I spoke to a lot of the fishermen that come here to buy to smoke salmon other places. Why don't you smoke your own salmon, you know? Don't know how, boy. Don't know how. And I know a year or two ago when Toho closed down, some of the fishermen tried it there in Toho and they made a darn poor job of it. But here they have been handed down for years and years and years, right on back from grandfather, and I suppose further back in the end, you know. This smoking was always there in this place.
Sadly, unlike in other countries, skills handed down from one generation to another count for little in Newfoundland. It is our great misfortune that after over 400 years on this rock, we have still never learned to make the most of what we have. True, we have always gotten along, but that is not really good enough. Practically anywhere else, a community with a long tradition of smoking salmon would be flourishing today, with techniques of handling the fish organized efficiently, with processing refined, and with markets secured. But here in Newfoundland, Round Harbour may not survive beyond this generation.
Not at the rate she's going after, she went. More or less froze at it, you know, that's what it seems like. It takes everything from you, well, you got to get out then, yeah. Most too much to walk around because the road is gone. One time we used to have a road board, and you get your grant every year and do up the old walk road around the road, but since the Department of Highways took over, they haven't done one damn thing, so the road is gone, eh? We don't have to walk around after. So when everything goes like that, well, there's nothing else for you to want to get out. You're frozen out, that's it. Another year or two, you want a wing on one side and leg on the other side, get around this place. She's going now.
Bert Foss and his wife own the community's only store. As well, Bert operates the bus that takes the older children to school in Lassie.
The young people don't build no homes there no more, right? They grow up and they find employment other places, and well, that's where they go. Other places is a better way of living, is, you know, and they go get in the car and they drive to the door, which we can't do here, you know, and this is what they want, eh? And of course it's much better for them too, and this is why it's very good here summertime, but this is a horrible place to live wintertime. I would say wintertime is a horrible place to live. But still, we'd like to stay here. It can be much better.
For Bert, to have to leave Round Harbour would mean to give up everything he has worked for and to begin all over again. No one wants that, especially if they are happy where they are.
This is a quiet place where we have our homes here. I wouldn't say they're the best, but most everyone here have water and sewerage, and we'd like to be able to stay here and hang on to them homes. That's why we want to stay here, as long as we make $1, and we want to stay here.
That is the problem, how to make a decent living while living in Round Harbour. For no program for rural Newfoundland yet devised by our governments have been of any real help to people who want to continue to make their homes in communities such as these. Millions of dollars pour into industrial development for which there is no tradition or rationale in Newfoundland, and little chance of success, while the just society and the new economic order remain meaningless for outport people, and little is done to encourage the development of local initiative. Federal policies, made with little understanding of and less concern for the way of life around our coast, are imposed through provincial governments which have neither the courage nor the imagination to create meaningful policies for rural Newfoundland. This threatens the extinction of the outport. Development planning is too often for the political advantage of the short run rather than for the long term. Consequently, as a result of a conscious ignoring of our greatest resource, the fishery, by a refusal to protect it well enough and early enough, and by the failure to develop it effectively, our people are driven out of the outports to seek employment, and the future of communities such as Round Harbour remains clouded.
I think it will survive for probably another 8 or 10 years, but I would say that's the most. I don't see any other way. There's nothing here only fishing.
Well, we do a lot of talking about it, eh? And this is what, like you just said there, that the place is going out, you know, and it sure seems that way right now.
It's going to go out, but it's going to take a
There's
few
no
years.
young people staying here.
It's going to take a few years yet, you know. Bryce is probably the youngest fisherman in the place now, but that's very much fishing property, and who else is going to start that recently?
4 families have disappeared altogether. The name is gone, right? 20 years ago, there was 30 to 35 children going to school there. Today, there's 9, roughly 9, from 9 to 12, sometimes it dropped to 7.
The only employment is probably 30, 35 miles away in Bay Verde. There's nothing on this area except for Bay Verde from that up. And there's nothing to stay here for, only fishing, eh? Well, I'm not fishing, well. Not much.
Live here?
Well, it's okay, yeah, sure, I'd live here if I could get, like winter time here, eh? Because, well, it's pretty hard to get water and sewage here, or even if you're burning oil, it's pretty hard to get oil here, eh? The only answer is wood. But in other words, if you can't find work in this area, well, if you're working time Christmas, you got to come home and look after your family. If not, they can't look after themselves here. Eh? So I got to quit my job in the fall and come home and draw unemployment, you know, if I can get it.
You can't operate here in Round Harbour and work away.
Do you think that the fishermen will be able to stay here?
It'll have to be possible, because on those labor jobs now, everything is unionized, and you just don't go and get a job by asking. You fishermen just can't jump out of the boat and go and get a job that easy. They got.
First, the other way too. I mean, a working man can't just jump from his job and go on fishing too. In certain cases.
For make a living, I have to spend at least $10,000 just to start fishing, which I haven't got.
If he was there, is really getting forced out. Now we had a local road board here, eh? With keeping those roads up every year. We was getting a grant of $300 and some odd dollars, $20 or something like that. Then you get a special grant, perhaps $800 or $1,000, to build up the bridges and the rails and dig the trenches and bring all this gravel. This was all brought here on those roads by a box cart. And now that was taken away from us. We don't get that anymore. So the bridges got to fall down, the rails got to fall down. Everything's getting uncomfortable. And, well, that's what I call getting drove out. And you're going in a place that you're not going fishing there. They got their fishermen there, and their water, their fishing rooms is taken off. So you got to have work to go there. Or go there and live on welfare and unemployment, and I don't think that's a good policy. Anybody that's willing to earn a living don't want to be doing that. But you may be drove to the point to have to do it sometimes, you know.
The dilemma confronts everyone still living in Round Harbour, young and old, men and women. One of these is Mrs. Clarence Foote.
There's nothing for it to do, only go out. You're not going to get young people not going to sit down there. There's no road connection, and there's nothing for them. So they just go out.
As the young people go, what does that mean for the people who stay?
Well, when you get so old, you can't stay. If your family is gone, you must go too. I mean, one time made most of the younger boys stay home, but not anymore. I think it's come to the point where come or stay. You know, well, you get old now, you go to the people's home most generally. You got to that place, eh? If you don't, you just got to follow the younger one. So it's not fit for older people. No way, I would say. If you take sick, well, you got to be carried up the mountain to get out of it to get to a clinic. But I don't think it's a fit place for old people. I'd go out tomorrow if I knew where to go. I wouldn't stay here. But I still like the place, you know. I still think it's not that good old RoundHarbor, but I wouldn't want to stay here when I'm old. I think the younger people are better out than they are here anyway.
Oh, sure, they're going to move out. Yes, they is. There's nothing here to keep them here, right? Until you got to move out for jobs. They're not going to stay here. But our generation, where's we going if we do go out? And if we got to go out and go on the welfare, it's just as well to stay here and go on the welfare, eh?
I like the life there, but I don't like, you know, everybody gone, the place is gone.
This is my type of life here, 100%.
Oh, I like the life there.
Like I was telling you on the boat today, you know, I mean, right now I'm a little bit slack now because I'm kind of my knee. I'm up a little bit, but I usually do fishing all the time. I'm a moonlighter, right? But there's lots for me to do. It's my type of work. I must be outside the water, right? Outside the water, there's birding, there's seals, and there's fish, and I mean, what have you. If you don't want to do that, you can still go out and boat just for a ride, you know. I have my own boats, and I enjoy building boats, so I build my own boats, and so I'm really occupied 100%. I think if I moved away from it, if I did move in a larger city or someplace like that, I think there would be something of this nature I would still have to do, just to occupy myself. If I didn't, I think I would, well, I'd probably end up drunk every day. I think go with my head, something like that. I'd have to do something.
I think there's a friendly atmosphere here too that don't get away from you. I mean, you go in town, well, say now I go to Grand Falls, you pass by this one pass that way, and you don't speak hardly yet. But now you come stranger in RoundHarbor. Somebody run up, see who you are, and ask you where you come from, what's your name. You know, that's the difference. There's no strangers there, eh?
Ted Foote works in a mine 30 miles away.
Overall, there's a lot of people out here, my age and younger, and just got right clear of it altogether, eh? I know a lot of people younger than I am got married and left it and got married after they left it, you know. But I mean practically just as far or farther than some of those people, and I still come back here, right? And I think if I got married and left it completely and did settle in another place, when I take my vacation summertime, I would have to come back to either one of those small settlements. And I think I would still own a boat or something like that I could get it on my own and get free, you know, for a while.
It's free, and I'm not outside the water, and there's just as much convenience there as is in a big place right now, although the road's not to the door. I consider, see, if the road was to my door, the kids would be bust out, eh? I'd be worrying more there. We have the electricity, we have the phone, the road is close by, and we got no problem with the, a crowd. It's not crowded there, it's quiet, eh? And your child leaves the house, well, if he is gone for an hour, you only got to look out through the window and you still can see him, or her, eh? So, you know, and Bryce is fishing there.
I asked Mrs. Fudge if she thought RoundHarbor is a good place in which to raise children.
I think so. I think it is.
Well,
And maybe they're lacking out
they're
on
probably not
recreation
learning.
or something like that that's in other places, like playground and a swimming pool and afternoon movies and one thing and another like that. Maybe they is lacking on that, eh? But I like for them to grow up here. And as regards their education, well, they're going to get as far as grade 7 here. Well, it's only go a half an hour, and they're in Last C. Although, and I know this is a problem going on the bus.
Do you think that you're going to be able to continue to stay here?
If the school closes down, no, we're not going to be able to, because we wouldn't think about busing them out. Not the smaller ones, the elementary children, no. But if the school is still kept open here, I don't see why not. Why wouldn't stay here? That's see if he can make a living, Royce can make a living at the water. Yes, if he don't and he goes somewhere else, where is he going to make a living? All that better school sending the children to. But where's the living going to come from? Welfare?